In this course, you are going to learn about what is REST API and how to design, develop and deploy the REST API with the .NET Core technologies. During this course, we will work on the two projects. The first project is going to be the Maxi Shop. When we are working on this Maxi Shop, you will learn all the fundamentals of the REST API. Once you learn the fundamentals, we will move towards the second project. The second project is going to be the Velora project. This is similar to the modern e-commerce website backend. You can see we have a brand, category, order, product and a user API. Once you have a user in your system, user can able to register and they can log in, then they can order any product. Then how the order will be processed in the behind the screen. So we will learn more advanced concepts in this, and also this during the second project only we will implement a layered architecture with the DDD. DDD means domain driven design. We will see how to implement that when we are working on the second project, and we will implement like a versioning as well. You can see we have a different versions of a API, and also we have like a authentication authorization. We also implement a role based system. We will learn many more advanced concepts when we are working on the second project. Next we will see course content. So by the way, you can easily able to understand what are the topics we are going to cover in this course. These are the topics we are going to cover in this course. We can able to split these topics into a 3 different level. It's going to be a beginner, intermediate and an advanced level. During the beginner level, we start with the basic API CRUD operation to repository pattern. This is like a fundamentals of an API. We will learn all the fundamentals during the beginner level. Once you learn the beginner level, we will move towards the intermediate level. During the intermediate, we start with the layered architecture with the DDD2. We see how to do the data seeding. Once we completed the intermediate, finally we move towards the advanced level. In advanced level, we start with the .NET identity. Then finally we end this course with the how to deploy your REST API in Azure. If you want to continue this course, these are the like a prerequisites you need to know, like a basic C# programming knowledge. Without knowing the basic C# programming knowledge, it's very difficult to continue this course for you. I highly recommend you, if you don't know the basics, just go and learn the basic C# programming, then come back to this API course. Okay. Then regarding the software requirements, we are going to use a Visual Studio Community. It is a completely free. You can download it from internet and install it. It's a very easy setup only. And regarding the database, I'm going to use a PostgreSQL. One of the reason why I chose this, because this is also open source. Okay, it's a free to download and install this database. So these are the things you need to continue this course. Let's take a look on what is API. What is API first stands for? It's an application programming interface. Okay, API stands for application programming interface. Let's look at the definition of it. So it defines a set of rule, protocol and tool allow different software system to communicate and interact with each other, enabling one application to access the feature or data of another without needing to understanding its internal feature. For example, consider like you have a two application, like application A and application B. You want to establish a communication between this two application. Okay, so this is where API comes into the picture. With the help of API, you can able to do the communication between application A and B. You can able to transfer the data from A to B or B to A, but you don't need to know how the system A and system B has been designed or developed. Okay, you don't need to know about anything. So that's what they here mentioned. One application to access the feature or data of another application without needing to understand its internal implementation. You don't need to know how the behind this can implemented, but you just want to transfer the data from one system to another system. So in this case, API will be very useful to implement it. Now we learned about what is API. Now we look at how API works. Okay, so here mainly 3 factors will comes into the picture, like a client, server and database. So here client represent a user. Okay, user something going to search in the internet. You can search anything like a RV alone, or you can Google anything. So when you search something on internet, that request will goes to the server. Okay, then server will process the request and give a request to the database to get the data. Then once the data is fetched, the database will return the data to the server. From the server, it will be back to the client. This is how the system works basically in the internet. You search for something, you get a response, correct? So every request will be forwarded to the server, from the server to database, database to server, server to you. So how the server is doing this? Is doing something magically? No. In server only your API code is going to run. Okay. In client, there are different front-end technologies. In front-end, for example, you will take a React, Angular or Vue.js. It can be used any technologies to develop the front-end. Front-end is a client. So this front-end communicate with server to get the data. That means your front-end is going to call the API in a back-end. Okay. So basically we are going to develop a API with the .NET Core technologies. So our API is running in the server. So that API only send the request to database to fetch the data. Then that data will be sent it to the front end. So here, for example, .NET Core is kind of a middleman in the server. So our API will be running in the server. It is only one going to process the request from a client and send the request to database to fetch the data. Then the data will be sent back to the client. This is how the API works. So last we see about how API works. So now we'll take a deep look on it. Will API only works on the website? No, you can integrate an API to a mobile apps, or you can integrate your API to a IoT devices as well. Okay, this is the beauty of the API. Once you design a backend system with API, you can integrate those API to any kind of front end system or any client based system. For example, you can integrate your API to the like a web applications, okay, or you can able to integrate those API to a mobile applications, or even you can integrate those APIs to the IoT devices. So by this way, it creates like a centralized system. Okay, so you have a centralized API. So any different kind of application can able to communicate to the API to get their data. Before we starting the code, we need to learn about what is API CRUD operations. Like initially I said, CRUD means create, read, update, delete. But in API, there are few more things additionally comes into the picture. We will see. So in this table, you will see like operations, methods, and definitions. Methods, don't worry about the methods. We will look at about this in a coding part when we are doing the coding. So basically, we know create means we are going to create a new record or a new data. We are going to create something new. Read, we obviously know we are going to read data something from a database. So that's why here I mentioned like a fetching the records. Then update means if you have any data, you are going to make some update changes to the existing record. That's what update. And another thing is called patch. Patch is like a similar to update, but not like a complete update. In update, for example, you have a record. When you do changes, it will affect everything. I mean, it will do the changes for the entire record. For example, you have multiple fields or properties, it will do changes for everything. But during the patch, you can change like a partial update. You can only do the update for specific things what you want. We will look at about this in a coding, but it will be easy for you to understand when we are doing the coding. Okay, and lastly, like a delete. If you want to delete something record, we will using the delete method. So that's what we are going to call as like a HttpPost, HttpGet, HttpPut, HttpPatch, and HttpDelete. These are the method names. These are the operations we are going to do. These are the basic definition of what is the CRUD operations we are going to do in an API. Projects. In this course, instead of just learning the concepts, we are going to implement like a project. We are going to develop two projects, like a project 1 and project 2. In project 1, we are going to cover all the basic concepts of the REST API, how to develop an API with the basic concept we are going to learn in a project 1. In project 2, we are going to learn about the layered architecture with the DDD. DDD means domain driven design. Okay, it's a pattern. We are going to learn how to implement this DDD with a layered architecture, and also we are going to learn a lot of advanced concepts in a REST API in a project 2. Let's start creating the project. Let's open up the Visual Studio. I'm going to click on the new project. Here you can search for the template as an API. You can see like a ASP.NET Core Web API. Don't get confused. As I mentioned, we are going to learn about REST API. Here it mentioned like a Web API. So what are the things we are going to do is like a completely REST API feature, not like a normal API. It's just a template name. It mentioned like a Web API. So don't get confused. We are going to develop a REST API only. We are just choosing this template. Okay, just click on this template. It will ask for a project name. I'm going to give a project name like a Maxi Shop .web. You can give whatever the name you want for the project, but I'm going to give this name. And here you can see like a solution name also same as like a project name, but I don't want that. I want to change the solution name. The reason, because within a single solution you can have a multiple project. It's always good to have a different solution name and a different project name. Okay, also I changed my project location to the desktop path. You can store wherever you want your project. You just need to click on this 3 dot. You can change the directory where you want to store your project files. Then finally click on the next. So here we are going to use a .NET 10. It has a long-term support, or if .NET 8 also have a long-term support. If you are seeing this video in a future like a .NET 11 or .NET 12, in .NET there will be a not major changes when there is a version update. So most of the things what you are going to learn here will be going to useful for you in the future as well. Okay, apart from that, just look at the settings, what are the things I enabled or checked, do the same as it is, then only you also get the same template as what I'm going to create. Okay, just check on the HTTPS and click on the Open API support and click on the use controllers. Okay, just verify everything, then finally click on a create. It will create the project. Just wait. So the project has been created. Let me open it here. Yeah, here you can see the project has been created. We will take a deep look into the each and every part of this project. So here you can see the solution name. Under this we have a project. We will take a look on the each and every file. What are the things here? What is the responsibility of this each file? Before we cover about these files, we first see how to start your project, how to run your project. At the top here you can see run button with HttpES. If you just click on it, it will start your application. Once it's started, it will open some console window for you. Let me show it for you. You can see it open like this. You can see the application is started running. Here you can see it shows up listening to the port number like a local host 7188. It is a HTTPS. If you look at here, you can see the like a HTTP which is running on a local host 5149. How this port numbers are decided, in which port this application need to run. If you want to see this now, here you can see there is a folder called properties. If we click here, there is something called launch settings. If you click on it, here you can see here is the settings for HTTP and HTTPS. So here you can see like a application URL. Here you can see there is a port number, which port number decided. For HTTP, here by default it comes like a 5149. And here you can see for HTTPS, it's like a 7188. This is like a fixed port number. If you ask, no, you can change to any port number you want. It's your wish only. You can change the different port numbers if you want. By default, it comes like a template. Every time you create a project, it's not guarantee you will get the same port number. Okay, sometimes it will give the port number differently, random. If you want some like a fixed port number, once the project is created, you can change this port on which port your API should run. For now, I'm not going to make any changes in this. I'm going to leave it as it is. Now we know how this works. Then about this controller part, we will come back to this later, but if you click on it, it shows like a basic weather forecast controller. By default it comes with a template, but we will delete it. We will see about what is controller, how to design a controller. We will see about this later on. And regarding this app setting.json, so what we are going to do here, like a the main feature, what we will do like a database connectivity access. If you want to connect a database, you need something like a connection string. We say is a connection string. For example, if you want to understand an easy term, if you have some application, if you want to access the application, you will have a login credentials, correct? Username, password. Similar way, if you want to access a database, you need some credentials. Those credentials will be stored here only. Under the app settings, we are going to store the credentials to access the database. We will see about this also later on. And if you look at here, there is some file. It comes under the project name maxishop.web.http. This is like an open API support. This file is used to test your APIs. Once you develop a API, you want to test those APIs are working or not, right? So we will do those testings here as well. We will see this later on. And last thing is like a program.cs. This is like a main core part of the application. This is where the application start building and it will start running the application. If you look at here, it will build your application. So the builder has been started here, and the builder, you can add what are the services you want. By default, it had the only service like a controller and open API. So control, as I said, we will see later on, and open API is like this one, this HTTP is there now to test our APIs. So it will comes as by default. Then what are the services needed has been injected. Then only it will build, it create as an app. Once it's created as an app, so it will check for development or production, in what environment we are going to run. Then it will start the application. We will cover this. These things are called as a pipelines. Once the application is built, here if you look at it, these are the like a pipelines. How to this handle pipelines under, we will learn later on. These are like an initial stage. Even if I explain also, it will be very confusing for you. So we will explore this later on. But basically thing you need to see at the last line here, only the application starts to run. Here you can see you build the app, then you start running the app. So when you click on this run button, it will build your app, it will run your app. That's why the pop-up window has been come. So by that way we know our application is running. And here's the last file. This is like a basic class file. You can see it's a basic class. It also comes with a template. If you see, I deleted like a weather controller controller, right? Similar way, for that controller this class will be used. So this is also not required. This is like a template boilerplate code, so I'm going to delete it. This is also not required. So now our project is completely clean. So we are going to develop one fresh API from the scratch next. So in our project, I'm going to create a new folder. If you look on this maxcshop.web, just right click on the project, add new folder. So I'm going to rename this folder as a model, or you can give it like a model. So I like to keep model. Inside this model folder, I'm going to create a one new class. If you click on a class, it will ask for the class name. For class name, I'm going to give it as a product. Let me give an add. So we got a new class. It's a product class. Inside this product, we are going to have few properties. Before we implement any code, one thing you want to learn is like, what's this model folder? Why we are creating class inside? Whatever the tables we are going to create in our database, those things will be stays under the model. If I'm creating a class as a product in database, I'm going to have a table name as a product. What are the properties I'm going to have here? The same property will be the column name in our database. If you already worked on a database, you will understand what I'm trying to say here. If you never worked on a database, don't worry. Once we implement it, I can show you the demo how it will work. So one thing you have to understand, inside the model, we are going to create a class. That class is going to be the table. The product is going to be the table. Inside this product, we are going to have few properties. Those will be become the columns in our database. And you may ask, we directly start the coding. Where is the database? We still didn't create a database. In this course, we are doing is like a code first approach, not a database first approach. In a code first approach, we will create a database based on the code. So now only we started to create a code. Correct. So in this product, we will define our properties. Based on this, we will create a database. We no need to write any SQL queries manually. We will do this everything like a automation with the power of entity framework core. We will see that later on. First, we will define what are the properties will comes into this class. First thing like a public int id. So if we have a product, that product needs some id to represent the product, correct? So it's going to be act as a primary key in our table. So if you want to make this as a primary key, above this property, you have to open like a square bracket, just type a key. If you type a key here, it will show the namespace from a data annotations. If you click on it, it will import it. By this way, when we create a script, when we not going to create a script, like we are going to run a one command, it will create a script automatically for you. When that script is generated, based on this, it will automatically identify this id is a primary key. It's going to be the primary key of the product table. Then second property, I'm going to create like a public string. This property name is like a category. What category that product comes under? Let's put a get set. If you look at this, it's like some warning. It shows like a nullable warning. So it's not any error. From .NET 8, I think .NET 6 or 8 onwards, they are giving this like a nullable warning. Possibly it may go null. So if you want to disable this warning, just click on the project. Here you can see nullable is enabled. Just type disable. If you save it, it will take a couple of seconds. Then this warning line will get hidden. So now there's no warning for you in this one. So when we create a product, we have to mention the product comes under which category. So we need a one column, right? So that's why I created here like a category. And also when we create a product, it's like a must required property, correct? If you're creating a product, you need to tell the product comes under which category. That means it's like a required property. So for that, here open a square bracket, just type required. If you click on it now, it will import. This is also from a data annotations itself. This means when you create a product where id became primary key and category became a required field, you have to must give the some value for the category that product belongs to which category kind of. Then next is like what is the product name? Public string name. Let's put a get set. For name also we need a required, correct? Without name we can't say what product that is. So let's put a required here. Then what are the fields we may require? Just imagine if it is a product, we definitely need to say like what is the product price, correct? So let me put it here, public decimal price. Let me put a gate set here. One common mistake most developers do, even experienced developers also do this mistake. For pricing, some people may put like a double. So this is like a very wrong thing to do. When you are working with the pricing like a currency based system, always mention like a currency in a decimal format. Okay. The reason is when you are handling in a currency, there will be decimal points. When you do the round off, if you do any mathematical calculation, decimal give you the accurate value. So don't use double. If you are using any currency based system, if you are developing or designing currency based system, always use a decimal data type. That's why I'm giving like a public decimal pricing. And also pricing also required one, correct? So let me put here required. And also for this pricing, for price, this product will going to have some price, but after decimal it's going to have some number like a $99.99, for example $50.99, something it will comes in a decimal. Let's imagine instead of 0.99 it goes like a 0.9999, like etc. It's a wrong thing to have in the pricing. That means you have to have some constraint, correct? So how we can do, like let's type here like a column. Inside this column you can give like a type name. Inside this double quotes you are going to mention like it's a decimal, and it will allow 18 digits up to 2 decimals. That means it will be allow only 0.99, not like a 0.999. It will not go like a 3 digit or 4 digit. It will hold only up to the 2 digit. It's a good thing to have this kind of a constraints when you are designing a system. Then next we are going to have one more property. It's like a public, it's a date only, and it's the name of manufactured on, when the product is manufactured, kind of. So let's put a get set. So this is also like a required field. Set is a required field, and we will have one more different field like a public, it's type of a boolean in stock. So it's like a true or false, basically whether the product available in stock or not. So it will represent like a true or false. That's why I set a data type as a boolean. Let's give a get set, sorry, get set. Then we have one more property like a public, public string note. So I have to type everything completely because I turn off my intelligence in the VS Code. I really hate that when I type something, it will suggest something. So I just turned off it. So I have to type manually everything. So sometimes I make typo mistake, but I will correct it. Don't worry. So we have one more property like a string. It's a note. You can add any note when you are creating a product kind of, but this is not like a required field. It can be empty or it can be a null. So we created our class now. So it's a product class. This product class have a few properties now. ID as a primary key, and what category that product is belongs to, what is the product name, what is the price of the product, when it's manufactured on, and what is the stock, and the note. If you look at this, we have a different data types as well: integer, string, decimal, date only, boolean, then string. So we have the class. When we create a table, product will be the table name. These all are the column names. Okay, so we have the class now. Next thing we are going to see about entity framework core, because with entity framework core only we are going to generate the script to create a database. We will see about this next. First, we are going to install few packages if you want to support the database connectivity with the entity framework core. How to do it? Let's see. In this project, you can see, just right click on it. Here you can see manage NuGet packages. If you click on it, it will open this pop-up. In this browse, you can search for the package. Okay, the package name we are going to search now is like a PostgreSQL first. Okay, if you search for PostgreSQL, here you can see npg SQL entity framework core dot PostgreSQL. You can just click on it. It will install the package for you. Okay, when you install this PostgreSQL itself, you can see it will also install the entity framework core by default. Okay, you don't need to install entity framework core separately. When you install the Postgres, it comes like a default package. Okay, just apply it and accept. So it will install. Just wait. I think this package has been installed now. The next package we required is like a entity framework core dot tools. Okay, not an entity framework core, entity framework core dot tools. Here you can see Microsoft dot entity framework core dot tools. Just click on install, just apply, just accept. So it will also install. Just wait couple of seconds, it will be installed successfully. Now you can see this package also installed. If you want to look at what are the packages already installed in your machine, I mean not a machine, in this specific project, just click on this install. It will list out what are the packages has been installed in your project. This one is like a open API by default. It will comes when you create a project, and these are the two packages now we install, like a entity framework core tools, and also we install the Postgres for the entity framework core. These two packages required for the database connectivity, so we installed this. Okay, let me close this as well. Let me save the project. We installed what are the packages required for the database connectivity. Let's start do the database connectivity process itself. If you look at this project, we have like a app setting.json. If you click on it, at the beginning of the course itself, I mentioned like we are going to give the credentials of the database in this app settings. Correct. So how we are going to do now? Just put a comma and double quotes. Here you can see automatically it gives me suggestion like a connection strings. Just click on it. Just open this. Inside this double quotes, let's type a default connection. Then colon. First thing you have to give like a what is your database name itself. Not like a database name, it's like a server name. For example, if you are using a SQL or a SQL server, you have to give like a server equal to your server name. But I'm using a Postgres. For Postgres is kind of a different. You have to give like a host. Host equal to I'm going to use my local database. So here the host name is like a local host itself. And then put a semicolon. And what is the port number? Port number equal to, for Postgres, the port number is like a 5432. When you are installing the Postgres itself, this will be the like a default port number. If you change the port number for your database, you have to give the same port number. If you are using a MySQL or if you are a SQL server, those database use a different port number. Just search on the internet what are the port number you are using. Then you can set up the port number specifically here. Then next one is like a database name itself. Database equal to, so whatever the name you want to give for your database, you can give. For example, I'm going to give like a maxi shop v1, like a maxi shop version 1 database. This is not exist. For example, host name or server name will be already pre-exist. You have to give the same name. For database, you don't need to create a database in your server. It will create automatically with entity framework core. You just need to give what name your database need to have. So for example, I'm going to give here like a database equal to maxi shop v1. And next part is like a credential. What is the username? What is the password? If you are using a SQL or a SQL server, you just need to give like a user equal to your username. But for Postgres, configuration will differ. For Postgres, it's like a username equal to your username. So my username is like a Postgres itself. Then password. Password is equal to just my name only. So I will give it here, Karthik. And then finally, you have to give only one thing like a trust server certificate equal to true. This is like a basic connection string. This is called as a connection string. So based on this connection string only, database connectivity will be established. If you make any mistake in this, database connectivity will not work. Even if you make any spelling mistake, database connection will not establish. So always double check everything is correct before you run anything like a migration or before starting the application. Just check your connection string. Everything is correct or wrong. Next, what I'm going to do now, right click my project and add a new folder. The folder name is going to be data. Okay, inside this data folder, I'm going to create a new class. That class name is going to be application db context. Okay, this name you given like I give like application db context, right? You can give whatever the name you want, but always keep the suffix as a db context. Okay, and keep the prefix name like a whatever you want as per your requirement. Why I'm mentioning like it's like a good practice. When other developer look at your code, when they see like a db context, they can easily identify and understand you done something configuration or setup related to the database. Okay, so you can keep the prefix like a whatever you want, but suffix should be always like a db context. It's like a, just a good practice in coding. Most developers what usually do now, the prefix will be like a what is the project name. For example, my project is like a maxi shop, so they will have like a context name like a maxi shop db context, but here I'm generally giving like a application db context. Just click on it, it will create a class, and this class going to be inherit from another class. That class name is now going to be db context. Okay, if you look at here, it will show the using statement to import. It's from an entity framework code. This package we already installed. If you click on it, it will import the statement, the error will be gone. So now we inherited this to this class. Second, we are going to do the constructor. Inside this constructor, we are going to do like some basic setup. If you do this setup, only database connectivity will be properly work. So what I'm going to do now, db context options. Inside this option, you have to pass your application context db itself. So application db context and give it a name as a options. Why we are doing this now? This db context class we inherited, right? This has a constructor which needed like a what is that our custom application db context that need to be passed as an option. So we are going to give like a base. Okay, for base class we are passing that option. That's why we need this constructor. Okay, if you didn't create this constructor, sometimes code will not work. Next, regarding the table, as initially I mentioned, so we have a class name as a product. Based on this product name only table going to create. So how that will going to happen, that setup we will do in this application db context only. Okay, just below this constructor, just type public db set. In this set, we have to give within the bracket like a our class name as a product. We have a product list, right? So you just give here, you can see you can import the statement. It's from the models folder, and here you can give the table name, whatever the table name you can give, but I'm giving the proper naming as a product itself. So let me do the get set. Whatever the name you give here, the same name only table going to create within your database. Okay, database name is like a maxi shop v1. So table name going to be product. If you want as a products, you can give a products. If you want a different name, you can give a different name, but I'm going to keep it as a product. So this is the data, I mean this is the table name going to create as a product. So this is like a basic step we done. Then finally we have to one missing piece, final missing piece, that's going to be in a program.cs. We are going to configure for the database. How that's going to happen, we'll see. So here below the services, type builder dot services dot add db context. If you look at it, it asks for the what is the context file. We have a application db context, correct? That's we are going to pass here. Application db context. Just put a round bracket, semicolon. Then we mentioned based on this what our program going to do. It will check what are the tables we need. It will create a table, but we need to say where the database is, right? That's sitting under the app settings. Here only we have the connection string. Here only we have the server name, port, and what is the database name, credential, everything is here. So we have to configure that here as well. So how we are going to do it now? Here you type option. Let's put it like a arrow function. Just type options dot, you can type like if you are using a SQL, you have to type like a use SQL, but we are not using a SQL. Or if you are using SQL server also, you can type like a SQL, it will show an option. I think for SQL server it show like a use server or something, but for Postgres it's like a ng SQL. We are using a Postgres, so I'm giving like option like a use ng SQL. Okay, let me put a round bracket. If you look at this, it requires for a connection string. Now let me look here. Yeah, here you can see it was looking for a connection string. That connection string is in the app settings, so we have to pass it here. So how we can do now? Builder dot configuration dot get connection strings. So it's a default method you can give, and inside this you have to give your key name. So this is like a JSON, right? It's a key value, so our key name is like a default connection. You can just copy this and paste it here. Okay, this key, if you make any mistake in key name as well, connectivity will not work. Okay, so we done all the basic setups. Before we run a migration, we'll take a quick look what are things we completed so far. So initially we created a models folder. Inside the model we have our class as a product. So based on this product only, we are going to create a table, and based on this properties only we are going to create a columns. Okay, so once we created this class, then we install what are the packages we required. If you want to look at the packages what we install, just expand this dependencies, click on this packages. Here you can see what are the packages we installed in our project. So these are the two packages we installed newly, like Entity Framework Core Tools and Postgres. Okay, with this two package we installed. Then after installing it, we give the credentials, the connection string, our database connection string in the app settings. Once we done it, we created the application DB context file. We set up the constructor, and here we set up for the table to create. Okay, and we give like a table name, what the table name I want to create. Then finally we done all the configuration setup under the program.cs. Like everything is a separate files, right? It's like in a separate file. This connection string is sitting in a separate file. We have to club together at some point. So that's what we done at the program.cs. We mentioned what is our DB context file and where is our database credential. The connection string is there. So we configured this. Now we are going to create a database. So let me open the PostgreSQL first. If you look at my database, this is my local database. Initially I have only one database. This is like a default. When you install the Postgres itself, you will get this database, but I don't have a database for Maxi Shop v1. I'm not going to create manual here. I'm going to create the database from our code itself. Let's see how to do it. Here you can see there is an option called tools. If you click on it, there is an option called NuGet package manager. Just over here there is an option called package manager console. If you click on it, it will open the pop-up for you. Let me pin it, let me expand, let's zoom in a little bit, like 150. Here I'm going to type one command like add -migration. Okay, this is the command name. Then for this command we are going to give some name like a note. Okay, I'm going to give like a initial migration. Okay, so whatever the name I'm going to give here, based on this name there will be new file will created. We will take a look on this once I run this command. Okay, so for now just hit enter. So it will build succeed, it will create a file for you. Okay, here you can see there is a new folder created now, migrations. Inside this migration we have two files. One is like a application DB context, another file name is like a whatever the name I given. You can see initial migration. Before that there is a long number. If you wonder what it is, it's like a timestamp when we created this file. Here you can see 2026, what is the month, what is the date, what is the time when I created this file. It's like a timestamp. After that it will give the file name, whatever the name you given, and what this file represent. For example, in your project you can run multiple migrations with the different names, so your application need to track when you run which migration, right? So that all will be tracked under this one, application DB context. So it will like a root for your all migrations. Okay, it will have what are the migrations you run so far. Okay, it will have everything about it. If you click on the initial migrations, let's take a look on it. Here you can see there is a two main method will be come here in this migration. One is a up, one is a down. Up is for creating. Okay, down is for not like a removing or deleting. Undo what you done, you want to undo at some point if you want. So that will becomes under the down. Let's take a look on what's under the up. Here you can see it create a SQL script for you. You don't need to type any SQL query manually. You can see it's create a table name as a product, and inside the product it's going to have a columns. Okay, this columns, if you look at it now, what are the properties we created in our product class? Here it comes as a column, and also it will have like what is the data type we given, integer. For string it will, for data it comes as a text, And if you look at it, we give like a decimal, but here it comes as a numerical, so don't worry about it. In database it will work fine, so it will comes at the 2 decimal point as well. And for boolean it will show boolean, and string it will show as a text, and for date only it shows as a date. Whatever the data types we have, based on that it will generate the SQL script for you. You don't need to write any script manually. And also we mentioned like these properties are required, that's why nullable became a false, so you cannot able to insert a null value in it. But if you take a look on this node property, here you can see nullable is true, because we didn't mention node should be a required field, so that's why it can be null, that's why it shows true. And also it's a primary key. You can see the product ID is the primary key, it will set the primary key. For example, you done some mistake means, for example, you want node also required field, not like a nullable field. Then what you can do now, you can type a command like a remove hyphen migration. Okay, it will give one error or warning, but don't worry about it. You can see, just you can ignore this error because we still didn't create the database, that's why it says connectivity failed. But if you look at it now, let me zoom it. Yeah, if you look at here, it's remove the migration. Whatever the migration we created now, it just removed it. If you look on the right side, the migration folder itself removed. The reason why the folder itself removed, now initially I had only one file migration. If I have a multiple migration, what will happen? It will remove only the latest migration, not all migrations. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's come here. I'm going to put note also required now. Okay, let's change it. I'm going to run a migration again. Let me clear this window. So add migration, initial migration. So let's wait, it will build. Yeah, here we go. So it's been built. If you look at now the node, it's a false, not a true. So that means it's a required field now. If you make a mistake, you can change, or if you want changes also, you can run a new migration. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to remove this required now. I'm going to remove the migration as well. So it will take some time to delete it. Okay, so I'm going to run new migration. Okay, now this time you can see note as a nullable true. If you want to apply this to create in a database, so whatever we done so far, it's all in a coding part, we still didn't touch the database. If you want this to be applied in database, you have to type one more command. Let me type here update hyphen database. You just type it and enter. What it will do now, if there is a no database, it will create a database. Okay, it will create the database and it will create the table. Just look at here, just ignore this warning. Initially try to connect, but there is a no database, that's why it failed. After it failed, it will create a database. Okay, it's create the database. You can see create database name as a maxi shop v1. After creating the database, it create the table for us. You can see the table is created, and with what are the properties I given, it will create the table for us. Now take a look on the database itself. Let me open the Postgres. Let me refresh it. Here you can see I got the maxi shop v1 database. If we expand it under the schema, under the tables, we have the product table now. Let me open it, just a view. Here you can see ID, category, name, price, manufacturer on, in stock, note. What are the properties I have there? These all became the columns. My class name became the table name. And also we have one more table. This is like a EF core migration histories. What are the migrations we run? It will keep the history here. Let me show it that as well. So far we run only one migration, that's why it shows like a that migration name. And what is the product version means what is the package version of EF core we used to do this migration. Okay, this is like a just a useful information. We are not going to do much anything here, so our focus will be on this product table. Here only we are going to insert the data or update the data or delete the data. Okay, we are going to do this later on. Let's do one thing. For example, once I run the update database command, remove migration will not work. I will show you. Let me type remove migration. You can see it's failed. The reason why it's failed now, it's already applied to the database. You can see it's already applied to the database, so we cannot able to revert it. Kind of once it's applied to the database, you cannot able to remove the migration. For example, you want to do some changes again. For example, you want to make the note as a required field again. Okay, you have to put it like a required. I'm going to run as a new migration only. So what I'm going to do, add migration. I'm going to give a migration name, whatever you want. So I'm going to give like a note is required. You can give whatever the migration name you want. I'm going to simply give like a note is required. Here you can see it creates a new migration file. In this, you can see it's going to alter the specific column on a which table. It's going to alter the note column in the product table, and what is the nullable as a false. Old it was a true. So we are going to make like a mandatory field now. If you want to do it now, just do update hyphen database. So now this migration has been applied. Okay, if you just refresh it now, so it will be migration is applied. If you click on the history, you can see the history. What are the migrations we run so far? You can see it has the initial migration and also what is the migration I ran after that. So it keeps the history. Okay, so this kind of this, you can have a n number of models. What are the tables you want? You can create a n number of classes. Inside that, you can have a n number of properties. I mean, what are the columns you're going to want? And you know how to run the migration now. Once the migration is applied to the database, you cannot able to do the remove migration. You have to change your code and create as a new migration. Then only you have to apply to the database. For example, if I want to remove the required property now, I don't want this as a required. So I'm going to just remove this. Let me clear here. I'm going to add as a new migration. Note is removed. Not like a removed. Let's give like a required removed. So it will create a new migration file again for you. Okay, in this it's going to be a new migration. It can be nullable true. Just give like a update hyphen database. So this changes will be now applied to our database. This is how you are going to handle your migrations. Okay, once you applied it, you cannot able to remove it, but you can change the file. You can create as a new migration, then you can update the database. I hope now you understand how this migration concept works. Maybe bit confusing for you if you are completely new or beginner. If you watch it like a couple of times, you will understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so we got the database now. So our database has been created, our product table has been also created. So next thing is we are going to create an API. So at the next part only the real implementation starts. So we are going to create a controller and we are going to create an API and we will do the basic CRUD operations next. Just right click on your controller folder, click on add. There is an option for a controller. If you click it, it will open the pop-up. Here you can choose the option as a API and select like a empty because we are going to create everything from scratch. So select the API controller empty. Then here we have to give the name for our controller. Okay, you can see it shows like a value controller. I can change the prefix of it. Okay, I'm going to give like a product controller, but keep the suffix same as it is. Okay, if you make any spelling mistake in this controller, then it will be difficult for .NET to identify it is a controller. Okay, so always make sure suffix has a correct spelling as a controller, and prefix you can keep whatever the name you want. Okay, so I'm going to keep it as like a product controller. Just rename it and click on add. So now we get the controller which is inherited from the base controller. It's from a default package itself. And here you can see there is something called route. We will explore this later on. What is this route? How it's working out? We will explore it later on. So initially we are going to start with a HttpPost. I mean, we are going to create some records in our database. Okay, then how we can do it? If we want to create something in our database, we have to connect with the database. For the connection setup, we already set up everything. Okay, but how we are going to do the insert query, right? How we are going to add it in a database. So for that only, we are going to use this application DB context. Okay, I'm going to inject in a constructor here. Okay, so for constructor shortcut, if you type just CT or it will give you a suggestion. Press tab, it will create a constructor for you. Okay, inside this, just type application db context and give a name as a db context. Just control dot, you can create a field. I'm going to just rename it, just put it as underscore, and here also I'm giving it as an underscore. So I'm just injecting my db context in a constructor of my controller. Okay, this is like a basic step. So hereafter only we are going to do the http post. So what I'm going to do now, put a square bracket inside this, type http post. So as I said, http post means we are going to create something. Okay, so public, here I'm going to give like a task. Okay, this task is going to be action result. Okay, when we create a product, it's going to return that product as well. So here the return type is going to be product as well. So give it as a product, just do control dot and import it, then give a name as a create. It's a basically a function, or you can call it as a method. Okay, so when we create, we are going to give some input, right? What we are going to create, so we are going to create this product only. If you look at the model, we are going to create this. That means we are going to give an input as a category, name, price, manufactured on, is stock available or not, correct? So I'm going to use the class itself here, product. Okay, and give the name as a product. And you can see this is like a object we are going to get as an input, but we have to mention where we are going to get this input. Okay, so here in square bracket I'm going to mention like a from body. Okay, this will, I will explain later why I'm giving this from body. I will explain later, but for now just you need to understand this is like a http post. Post means we are going to create something. For this method I gave a name like a create, and it's going to take the input as a product. Once the product is created, we are going to return the product with the product ID. Okay, what I'm going to do here now, await underscore db context dot, I can type product. So how I can able to access this product, because inside this db context I set this db set as a product. So based on that I can able to access it. So db context dot product dot add async. Inside this I'm going to pass my product. Okay, that means we are going to create something in a database. After it's created, we have to save it, correct? How I am going to do now, just await underscore db context dot save changes async. Okay, then finally we are going to do like a return okay. So this return okay, what it will represent? It will represent like a 200 status 200. We will see this about also later on. Okay, if I initially explain this, it will be a bit confusing for you. So initially what we are going to do now, we are going to get the details what we are going to create. Okay, then we are going to insert that in a database, then we are going to save it. Just simply return a okay. This is like a basic http post. And as well, here I done like a return okay, but this is not a right way to do in a REST API. Okay, in REST API we will do something like a created at, but if you want to do created at, we need to implement some get APIs. We still didn't implemented it, so for that I'm just now giving like a okay. Okay, later on I will change that as a created at. For now we keep it as a okay. Okay, now we have our API. How we are going to test this API, how it's going to work? So for the testing purpose, I'm going to use this maxishopweb.http. If you click on it, here you can see our local host is going to run on which port number, and by default it will have that weather API. I think we deleted initially, not the default template. It shows this, so we can remove it. It's not required. I'm going to remove it completely. Okay, and here I'm going to type /API. After this I will come down here. From here only I'm going to create my API. So first thing we are going to do like a post, because post is for a create, correct? Then inside this we are going to give the our host address. Here also you can see this is a host address is then a web host. Even I can rename it as a simply host, or we can simply give like a host address itself. So I'm going to give like a host address, then /product. Okay, so basically what I'm doing now, when I run my application, it's running on a local host on this specific port, but I'm going to call the product API. So where the product API exists now, for example, it exists like a API slash product. Okay, this is my API route. Why this is my API route? If you look at my product controller, here you can see route as a API slash controller. Controller means whatever the name I gave for my controller. The product is my controller name. So it's going to be like a API slash product. So that's why here I didn't type as a product, because in my project I may have a n number of controller. Okay, so I want to keep this as a generic. So we type here only up to API. That means here it will come like a local host colon our port number like a 5149 slash API. Then after that slash product, whatever the controller name you have, you can give it here. So next thing we are going to like a content type. Content hyphen type. You can give like a colon. It's a application slash JSON. So what this represent now, what type of input we are going to give for our API. Okay, basically in REST API you can give a two type of input. One is a JSON type or another one is a XML. For now we are going to look at about JSON, how JSON works. Later on we will look about how XML works. Okay, so content type is called the application slash JSON and accept. Okay, accept type also application slash JSON. So basically what this two represent, this content type is like a what type of request I'm going to send. I'm going to send something in a JSON format in a request. I'm expecting the response also in a JSON format. I will accept this. If you return something for me in a JSON format, I will accept this. This is like a what format for a send a request. This is like a what format I will get in a response. So we set up this. Then open a curly bracket. Inside this, just type a category colon. You can give any name you want. For now I'm going to give like a electronics. Okay, then give a name of the product. Let's give a laptop. Then price. Let's put this inside a double quotes. So price going to be, I said, like a 499.99. Okay, let's put one more 9 here. In manufacture, I mean basically what I'm doing now, here you can see what are the properties we have, right? Like a category, name, price, manufacturer on, in stock. These are the inputs we have to give, correct? For that only I'm creating a JSON here. Okay, so I'm going to give a manufactured on, and date is going to be, for example, like a 2026 hyphen. You can give any month. For example, I'm going to give a 04-21. Then in stock. Let's say it's available in stock. We give it as a true because it's a boolean, right? Then finally note. So if you want a note, you can add or you can give it as empty. For now I'm going to simply add like some note, like a good product. Okay, so these are the things we done. If you want some spacing, you can give. So I'm going to give some spaces as well. Okay, this is the body. Okay, this is the in request we are going to send this as a body. That's why I mentioned here like a from body. Okay, from body we are going to get this data. So we're going to send a category name, category name, product name, pricing, manufacturer on, in stock, and note. If you want to test it now, here is the option for a send request. But if you want to send it now, you have to start your application first. Let me start it. So here you can see my application has been started. So I just need to give the request as a send here. Here you can see I get the status code as 200. Okay, that means my product is created in a database. If you want to check it now, just go for the database, just run it. Here you can see the product we created now has been saved in the database. So now we know how the HttpPost works. Okay, but this is like a very basic level, but still there's a long way to go We'll see more concepts later on. Okay, basically you have to understand the product has been created now. If we want, we can create a one more product as well. Let's me give like a mobile, or we can give like a iPhone 15. Let's give price $7.99. Let's change some dates. And stock, let me remove the note as well. Just let me send the request. So it says 200. Okay, let me check in the database again. If I run it, you can see the second product also successfully created in our database. So instead of every time we come and check here in the database, we can do that, create a one more API like a get API. We can test here itself whether the record is created or not. So initially we saw how the post works. Okay, we learn about HTTP post. Second, we are going to do about HTTP get. So next we are going to see about HTTP get. So let me scroll down here, open a square bracket, just type HTTP get. Okay, then type like a public task of action result, and what it's going to return, it's going to return a list of products. Okay, because we have a multiple products, we are going to return everything. So list of product. Okay, then give a space, you can give a name like a get, then create a variable, you can give like a result equal to await underscore db context dot product dot to list async. That's it, it's just a single line of code. Here also we are going to do like a return okay. Inside this okay, I'm going to pass my result. Okay, so whatever the data comes in, I stored it in the result, I'm going to return it with this okay. Let's test this API as well. Let's save this code first. Let me go back to here. Just here type triple hash, because inside this hash only you can able to create a test for every API, each and every API, like a post or get. Now we are going to do for a get. So just type get and double bracket, double curly bracket, inside this type host address slash product. That's it. And we are going to give like a accept, because this time we are not sending anything, we are expecting. Correct, this time we are expecting a data. That's why I'm not going to give like a content type, I'm going to give only a accept. So accept, it's a application slash JSON. Okay, let me start the application. My application has been started. Let's send a request. See, now we get the response data. So whatever we stored in the database, we can able to fetch those data and see the data also. So HTTP post also we tested, and HTTP get also we tested. So both are working now. Records are created, and also we can able to fetch those records and we can able to see. Got it? So next what we are going to do, for now we are getting all the records. For example, you have like a hundreds of record, but you want to only access the specific record. That means you are going to access by ID, which record you want. You can search by the ID, you can get the record. Correct, I mean get the product, which product you want, you can search for the specific product with the product ID, we can filter it. Correct, so we will see about that next, how to do it. Instead of fetching everything, how we can fetch a specific product based on the product ID. So here I'm going to create a one more HTTP get. Let's give a public task of action result. This time we are not going to return a list, we are going to return a only single product, because we are going to return the product based on the product ID. So here not a list, just simply put a product. Okay, type get, and we have to give an input, right? Well, based on the ID only we are going to fetch a record, so we have to give a ID. So the type is int, and the record we are going to search based on the ID. Here create a variable result equal to await underscore db context dot product dot, here first or default async. Inside this we can write a arrow function. So x of x dot id equal to the ID which we are going to pass it. If it is matched, it's going to fetch the record and store it in the result. If not, it's going to return as a null. Okay, if the result is null, that means we should not return a okay, we should return a not found. That means we are intimating the user you are searching for something, but that record itself not exist. Correct. Instead of returning okay, we have to intimate a user whatever the record you search for, it's not found. That's why I'm going to return as a not found here. In case if the result is null, we are going to return a not found. Otherwise, if we have a result, then we are going to return okay with our result. Got it? This is like a basic Git API, and we are going to test this as well. Let me copy this again. I paste it below here. Let's put a hash here. This time, after product, you can type like a slash, and what is the product ID we are going to search on. You can see we have a product ID as 1 and product ID as a 2. But if you look at it, we are going to give this value in a route, not from a body. If you look at the post, for post we send it in a body. But for get by ID, we are going to send the ID in a route. This is like input, but we are sending in a route. But how it will identify, how our controller will identify? We only mentioned we are going to get the input. We never mentioned about we are going to send that ID in a route. That means we have to configure here. Okay, so here put a round bracket, double quotes, curly bracket, ID, and its type going to be integer. Okay, so that means what will happen, it look for the route slash product slash, it will expect the ID. So if you pass the ID, it will search for the record, it will give you the result. Let me save this and run application. We will test it. So my application is started now. Let me send a request. So it's sending the request. Wait, so we can see now I fetched only one product based on what ID I gave. I gave ID as a 1. It's fetched the record with the product ID of 1. For example, if I try to fetch by 2, so we will get the second product because its ID is a 2. If I try to search for something record like a 4, I mean ID 4, but I don't have any product, that means it will return as a not found. Here you can see status code as a 404. 404 means not found. We are searching for something that does not exist. In this case only we will going to return as a 404. Here also you can see title is a not found and status code as a 400. But if you give any valid product ID, if you send the request, you will get the record itself. Next we will look into the update, how update will work. For that, just put a square bracket. Here the update method going to be HttpPut. Okay, let's give a name, public task of action result. And in this we are not going to return anything, it's just going to be a simple task, and the method name is going to be update. For update also we have to give the our product ID, I mean record ID. Based on the ID only we will know which record we are going to update. That means int ID. If I'm giving an int ID here, means I have to give in a route as well, right? So I will configure here. So here we are going to pass the ID. Even you can give like a type int as well, or you can simply give it as ID. Both are valid. And also we are going to send the product as well, because in product only we have all other properties. Then only we can know which property we are going to update. That means that's from a body. Okay, from body product. Okay, let's give it name as a product. Here first we have to check for one condition. What it is now, it's a ID. The ID we passed not equal to product dot ID. If ID is mismatched, we should not do the update. Okay, we have to return something as a bad request. Okay, that means why we are doing this now. For example, I give a ID as a 1, but I'm trying to update the product with the ID of 2. That means it's a mismatch, it's an invalid. We should not allow user to do it. That's why we are checking if it is a not matched. If the given ID not matched with the product ID, we are going to return as a bad request. Otherwise, if those IDs are valid, what I'm going to do, simply underscore tv context dot update product. That's it. Here you can give like a simply like this as well, or type product dot update and you can pass the product. Then you have to save it. Await underscore db context dot save changes async. Then finally return no content. Okay, for update we will not return as a okay. For update we will return as a no content. Got it? So here if you look at it, if not matched we are going to return bad request. If IDs are valid we are going to update the record based on our input and we will save it, and finally we will return as a no content. We will see how to test this API as well. Let me save this code first. Let me go back here. For update also it's similar like a post. So what I'm going to do, I copy this code, just paste it here, just put a triple hash. I'm going to change this method as a put, and here I'm going to pass the ID. For example, I'm going to update the ID record to, let me start the application itself. Let me change here, we will fetch the record 2. If I send the request, see this is our data, correct? Electronics iPhone 15 and the prices. So what I'm going to do now, this update I'm going to change the price from, for example, 799 to 899. You can change the date as well. I'm going to change this 24. Let's see, stock is not available, change to false. Let me give a valid name. If you make a mistake it will not work. So I change it to false. I change the date and change the price, but I'm going to keep the name as it is, or if you want you can change the name as well. Okay, I'm going to change to iPhone 15 to iPhone 16 now. And one more thing, here we have to give a ID also now. Okay, ID, so ID is going to be 2. Okay, just save it. For test purpose what I'm going to do, for example I gave a ID here 1, but ID the product is a 2. If I send this request it will reject, it will send us a bad request, because we configured our code. This ID if not matched it's going to return as a bad request. That's why we got a bad request. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to give ID as a 2 itself. Let me do the update, send a request. Here you can see I get the 204. That means the record has been updated in the database as well. If I send the request, get request again, here you can see from 15 to change to iPhone 16 and $700 to change to 800. Stocks also changed to false and date also changed on manufacturer. If you want to check in a database as well, you can see these are like old data. If I run it again, you can see the record has been updated in the database as well. So for us update also properly working now. But when you are working on update you have to be very careful with the entity framework code. The reason why I'm telling now, this update will also work for a create as well. For example, you try to update something, if that does not exist in a database it will automatically create for you. I will show you. For example, I don't have this validation. Okay, let me comment this code. If I don't have this validation, what will happen? It will directly try to update the product, correct? So what I'm going to do, let's say I'm going to give like a ID 3. Okay, here also I'm going to give simply ID 3. We know we don't have any product in the ID 3. If you want I can show it as well. Let me hit a get all. Here you can see we have only 2 product with ID 1 and the ID 2. But what I'm going to do, I'm trying to update something as ID 3 which does not exist in the database itself. Let me change the category as well. Let me change the category to toys. Let me change the name to, let's see, Hot Wheels. Let's change the price to 99.99. Stock will be true. So this record does not exist in the database itself. But what I am going to do, I'm going to send a request. You can see, yeah, here I hit a breakpoint, but I will tell you reason why I hit the breakpoint, why it's not created. The reason is, here you can see I give a ID. This ID I have to remove it because this ID will be automatically created. Okay, let me start the application again. So you have to see I didn't provide ID, but I'm trying to send something with the HttpPut. I'm trying to update something which does not exist in the database itself. So I'm going to send the request again. Now you can see I get the status as a 204. It shows like a updated, but there is a no record like this. Correct. There is a no record like it shows like updated. But what will do entity framework code behind the screen? If does not exist, it will create for you. Okay, let me hit a get all API. Here you can see I have a ID1, ID2 and ID3. You can see the third record has been created. Even if does not exist, update will create for you. Got it? So you have to very careful when you are using the update with EFCO. For that purpose only, here I added a validation. Okay, if it does not match, we stop the code execution at this point itself. We will not go further. Okay, by this way, we will avoid unmistakenly creating the records in our database. So now we learned about the HttpPut, like how to update the record. Next, we are going to learn about HttpDelete. You may ask, I mentioned about something called HttpPatch at the beginning of the course. We will learn about the patch later on because patch the code will be a little bit different. So it will be hard to write in this one. Okay. So for now, so far we covered like HttpPost, get and put. Next we will cover about delete. Then later on we will cover about the HttpPatch. So next we are going to do HttpDelete. Okay, let's type here public task action result. For delete also we will not return anything. Okay, let's give a name as a delete. During the delete we have to give a record ID, I mean product ID. Based on that ID only we are going to delete it. That means int ID, and also we are going to configure the route as well. Okay, simply give here ID. Then we have to fetch the record first from the database. Okay, variable product equal to await underscore db context dot product dot first dot default async. So we will search based on the product ID x dot id equal to the ID we are going to pass it. If matched, we are going to get the record. Correct. Similar like how we done for the get by ID. We done here like similar way I am doing here. And also we will copy this. If it is null, we will simply return like a not found because there is a no record to remove it. Correct. So let me change this to a product. If something exists only you are going to delete it. If that does not exist, you cannot able to delete it. Correct. So that's why we will simply return as a not found. If exists, we have to remove it. So db context dot product dot remove. We have to pass the product itself to remove it. After removed it, we have to save it. So await underscore db context dot save changes async. Then finally we will simply return as a no content. Okay, here also we will return a no content. If not found, we will simply return as a not found. Let me test this API as well. Let's go back here. Let's put a triple hash. It's similar like this only, get by ID. Let me copy this, paste it here. Instead of get, we are going to do like a delete. Let's say I'm going to delete the record number 3. So that means I have to pass the ID as a 3, or before that I'm going to send something ID which does not exist. We will test whether that also working or not. Okay. So I think it's application started. Let me send a request. You can see it not found because we don't have any product in the ID of 4. So now I'm going to delete the ID 3 product. Let me send the request. Now we can see I get the 204 content. If I now go and hit my get API, get all API, you can see there is a no product ID as a 3. The category toy we created Hot Wheels now that has been deleted from the database as well. So now we know how the delete works as well. So far what are things we done now? We have to test all APIs here only. But if you look at this, it's very difficult to write the code. Correct. It's not efficient as well because now we have only one API basically. If we have a multiple API, we have to write like a multiple code to test it. To avoid this, we are going to use something called Swagger. By using the Swagger, you don't need to write any of this manually. Okay, you just need to set up it. We can easily able to do the API testing on how the API works. So we will look about the Swagger next. Just right click on the project and click on manage NuGet packages. Here we are going to search for one package called swashbuckle.aspnetcore. See, this is the first package we get, swashbuckle.aspnetcore. Just click on install it. Just click apply and accept. So it will install the package. Once it's installed, just go to the program.cs. Here you can see under this, you can type like a builder.service.add swagger gen. Okay, and also here you can type like a app.use swagger, and also app.use swagger UI. Okay, then finally we have to one more changes. Under this properties launch settings, there is an option called launch browser as a false. You have to change this to true. Okay, then it will ask for a URL. I hope it's a launch URL. You can type swagger. Okay, and copy this to similarly change below for this HTTPS as well. Once you done this, if you start the application, now it will open in a browser for you. Okay, just wait. Now here, look at it. Now it's open in a browser with a specific port number. Okay, this port number is based on the what port number we are configuring here. It's running on HTTPS, that's why it shows like a 7188. If we run in HTTP, it will show like a 5149, but we are now in HTTPS. If you want to see how it works, you can switch from HTTPS to HTTP as well. If you run it in HTTP, it will show the port number like a 5149. Here you can see 5149, but I'm going to switch back to HTTPS itself. Let me start the application. So here you can see our all APIs. We created like a product API. Instead the product, we created like a post, get by ID, put and delete so far now. And also here we get the schema. We will look about the schema later on. So initially what we have to do now is just click on it. Here you can see you don't need to type anything manually. By default it will shows what are the things we have to give it as an input. We want to create a product. You just need to click a try it out. Let me zoom in as well. Okay, if you click on a try it out, it will give you an option. Let me give it try it out. See, I can edit now. I'm going to create some product like for example, let's say toys category and name as let's say Hot Wheels. You can give a price anything you want. I'm going to give like a 199.99. So date I'm going to keep as it is. Let's remove note. I'm going to just click on this execute button. Okay, it will create an API for you. I mean, it will create a data for you with the post. Here you can see we get the status code as a 200. Okay, that means the record has been created successfully. If you want to test it, here you can see get API. If you try it out, then click execute. Here you can see all the records which has been created. Now you can see there's a new record created with ID 4. This is the new one now created again, right? The toys has been created. If you want to test get by ID will work, we can test that as well. Before that, if you look at here, there is something called a request URL. What this means, if with this URL, you can search for the data anywhere you want. For example, I mean within locally, not like anywhere like with a different machine, wherever your code is running locally, you can test. Just copy this URL. You can open up new tab, just enter it. You can get the data like this. Okay. Basically when you create an API, it can work in a browser. Okay, you just need to use this request URL to get the data. For example, I'm going to show you for a get by ID as well. I'm going to search by ID 4. You can see in Swagger I get the response like the record ID 4 with the data, right? You can see there's a URL for it. Just copy this and paste it here. I can get the data here as well. So it's all working fine. So these things only work for get only. Get, if you have a method as a get, you can directly request in the browser. You can check for the data. But for put or post or delete, you have to go to do the testing via Swagger, or you can test via Open API support with this file we have now. HTTP web HTTP maxi shop. You can do the testing here, or you can do the test directly via Swagger itself. So let's try to update this record 4. Let me copy this entire object. Let me try it out. I'm going to give ID as a 4. Let me replace this here. let's change the price from 199 to 99, and I'm going to add a stock. We will keep stock as it is. Let's going to add a note, like, yeah, it's like, yeah, for kids. I'm just adding the note. Just try to execute it. Here you can see we get the 204. 204 means the record has been updated. Okay, if you come and search again here, you can see from 199 to change to 99, and also you can see note has been added successfully. So update also properly working. If you want to delete it, we can try that as well. Just give the ID which you want to delete it, just execute it. You can see 204, it's successfully deleted. That means if you try to execute here, it will say not found because the record has been already deleted. If you try the get all as well, let me try execute this as well. Now we have only two records. The record 4 has been deleted now. If you notice one thing, let's say for example this, you see something called here as a undocumented. When you get the response, it shows a undocumented. Similar way you can see for a update as well, undocumented. So when it gives a response, it says a undocumented. That means we didn't do the documentation for this API specifically. If you look at here, there is an option called application JSON, text JSON, application slash JSON plus. So this kind of a different option. When you are working in a REST API, it should allow only two types. One is a JSON, another one is a XML. We will look that also how to configure it. Okay, instead of this different types, you can set up a which type you want. Similar way, if you look at the GET API, when you get the response, there is an option what type of response you want expecting. It says like a text plain, application JSON, text JSON, but it should allow only two things like application JSON and the application XML. This two only need to be allowed. We will see how to configure those things and all. So basically you need to know with the Swagger you can easily able to test your APIs it's properly working or not instead of going with the open API support. Next thing we will cover about how to set up all this undocumented issues fix and how to set up about the documentation and all. We will cover this. Before that, we still need to cover one thing, that is a HTTP patch. You can see we done like a post, get, put, delete. Patch is still pending. So we cover the patch first, then we will go for the documentation of this Swagger. Before we implementing the patch, we need to know what is the reason why we need to implement something called patch to update the record when we already have a HttpPut, right? If you look at this code, we updated with this payload, correct? This is the object we passed to update the record. But if you look carefully here, I changed only price, I changed only stock, I didn't change the other things like a category name, I didn't change any other properties. I specifically changed for example price and in stock, but during the update I have to send entire object, but it's totally unnecessary. Just imagine you have hundreds of property, you just want to change 5. So instead of just sending the 5, you are sending the 100. It's not totally not efficient. But when we are working with patch, we will send only the property which required for the changes, not for the entire 100 properties. So we will look into how to implement the patch now. Just come here, type HTTP patch, then give public task action result and give a name as a patch. Here also we will get an ID. So based on the ID only we are going to do the patch process. Then from body, but this time we will not directly give a product. We are going to give something called JSON patch document. Patch document. It will show an error. If it shows error for you, just place your cursor there and press Control dot. It will show you suggestions to install Microsoft.ASP.NETCO.JSON patch. Just click on it and here you can see find and install the package. So it will automatically install the package for you. Just wait for a couple of seconds. See, once it's installed, the error is gone. Now open the brackets. Inside this you are going to pass your product. Okay, and I'm going to give here name like a patch doc. Okay, it's going to be like a patch document. I simply give it like a patch doc. First we have to search for the product is available or not, correct? And also we have to check whether the user passed the patch document or not. So let the if condition, let's say patch doc is null. That means they didn't send anything information to update. So we simply return bad request. Okay, they want to update something, they're sending a request, but there is no data to update. If it is a null, we simply return as a bad request. Then we have to fetch the product variable. Product is equal to await underscore db context dot product dot first at default async x arrow function of x dot id equal to id, which I'm going to pass. Okay, then next, if that product is not exist itself, that means we cannot able to do the update. So we'll do product is null. If it is a null, we return here itself, return not found, because there is a no record to update itself, correct? So we will return it simply here. If it is available, then what we are going to do now, patch, sorry, it's I typed here, it's a spelling mistake. Let me change here, patch, change patch. Okay, so patch dot apply to, inside this apply to, I have to pass my product. So what this will do, it will change only the specific property which we want to change. Okay, it will automatically do it for you behind the screen. You don't need to worry about anything. It will change for you. You just need to do like a save in a database, await db context dot save changes async. Okay, then finally return a no content. That's it. This is like a basic stuff only. You don't need to worry about anything. We just check for if there is anything in the patch. If it is not available, send a bad request. If available, we search for the record, the product exists or not. If product is null, we simply return there is a no product to update for it. If product also available, we are going to do the patch and just save it in a database and simply return as a no content. And also here we have to give like a route, because we are getting ID in a route, correct? So let's put a ID here, route as well. So before we run the application and test it, we have to do one more thing. Just right click on your project, go to manage and you get packages. Just type for like a Microsoft, you can see microsoft.aspnetcode.mbc.newtonsoft.json. Just search for this package. Just install this as well in your machine. Just click on it, install it. This package will install. Once this installed, just go for the program.cs. Here you will have a controller, builder.service.controller. Here just type add newtonsoft.json. Okay, this is required if you want to run a patch as well. Okay, once you set up everything, just run your application. So initially I'm going to just run the git to see what are the records we have now. We have two records like id1, id2. I'm going to update this record to, for example, you can see in stock as a false. I'm going to change the true only for this property, not for the entire thing on the record 2. So how we can do it, just come to the patch, give it, try it out. Here give a id as a 2. Here you can see it's an array. Inside array you can pass a multiple JSON. Okay, I'm going to remove this operation type. Just give the path is going to be like a slash the property name. We are going to change the property as a stock, in stock, correct? Just give the property name, and the operation is going to be replace the value. From, you don't need to give it, you just need to give the value, what value you are going to change. So if you look at it, we have as a false, so we are going to change to true. So I'm going to give it as a true. Okay, just execute it. You can see it's at 204. It's successfully run. If I execute here, you can see it changed to true. I just want to change the one property specifically. I don't need to send for entire object. If you see an update, we send an entire object for the update process. But if you look at a patch, we send only for the specific property which we are going to change. For example, if you want to change for a multiple properties at the single go. So let's copy this, put a comma and paste it here. This time I'm going to change to false again here. Okay, let's change something different. Let's change the name from iPhone 16 to, I'm going to change it as a 15. So I'm going to give a slash name. Let's say iPhone 15 now. just execute it. So it's a 204 successfully run. Let me hit the API again. You can see iPhone 15. Oh, I made a typo mistake here. Let me change again here as well. iPhone 15, execute it. If we check again here, you can see iPhone 15, and also you can see changed stock to false again. With the patch, you can specifically change the which property you want to update the record. No need to change the entire object itself, just for update a single property. Okay. So we covered about the patch as well. Next we will look about the Swagger documentation. You can see we get the like a no undocumented, correct, and also we are getting the different type of data formats. You can see different types of data format. We will fix this as well. Next, how to properly configure your REST API. Just open your product controller again. For example, we have all the methods here, correct? Let's say we have like HttpPost, get and get by ID, put, patch and delete. We have to properly document it, and also we have to properly configure our API. It should only request or response in the format of JSON and XML format. Only this two should be allowed. How to configure it, we will see about. For example, this post I'm going to configure here, square bracket, you can type a consume. I can give a what type it can consume. You can type like a media type. Let's say media type, and you can give like a media type names dot inside this application, just type JSON. Okay, we are going to allow only JSON type, or we are going to allow a XML. Just copy this, put a comma and paste it here. Just type a XML. Okay, this is like a basic setup for a consume. So consume, what consume represent here, what type of data we are going to give an input in a which format. So consume is for an input, in which format we are going to give a input. When you give an input, it will produce something called a response, correct? So what is the produce type, that also we can give configure here. So produce. So basically here also produce will be media type names dot application dot JSON, and also comma can type media type name dot application dot XML. Okay, this is like a consume and produce. But if you look at this all API, produce will be going to be common, because every API going to give a response in the JSON format or XML format. So instead of giving for each and every method, we can give it like a global level. So how to give a global level? Under top of your controller, you can just give here. Okay, under API controller, you can give like a produce, because all APIs within this product will produce a response type of JSON or XML. Okay. You may ask similar way why we didn't give for a consume also we can give it in the top level. For commonly it will apply for all, we can do it, but when you have a patch you cannot able to do like that, because for patch it will not work with XML or JSON. Patch will work differently, so that's why I didn't give the consume like a global. So let me copy this, and consume will come for a update. So we here also, whenever you give something input, then only, I mean from body, input means from body, you have to provide like a consume. Okay, so for update we are going to have a JSON and XML. But if you look at the patch we will not give like the same way. So I'm going to just remove this. Instead of JSON, there is something called JSON patch. We have to give this only this format, only patch will work. If you give like a basic JSON, it will not work, it will simply throw you a error. If you remember at the beginning of create, I mentioned about we will not return okay, we will return something called created at action, right? So we will change this as well. Just comment it now. Simply do return. You have to type created at action. Okay, so why we are going this now? Once the record is created, we have to intimate a user. You can check the record from a specific route. So how they can check? Because we already something called get by ID. So once the record is created, we will return ID. We will intimate a user, go and check on this API with your ID. You can get the newly created record. So we have to intimate it. So why I'm going to do now? Before that, I'm going to change the name here. Instead of simply get, I'm going to change the name here as a get by ID, because I'm going to use the same name here. If I have a get as same, it will get confused. So I'm going to give like a get by ID. At the created at action, I'm going to give name of get by id. Okay, this is the method you are going to refer. We are implementing it, and type new, and we are going to return a id. So id equal to product dot id, then finally comma, and we will return the product itself. Okay, what we'll do basically, once the record is created, it will intimate you on which API you can check for the record and record ID. I mean, the product ID it will return. Based on that ID, you can go and check whether the record is created or not successfully. So we done all the setup. We will just try now. Let's start the application. We will test it. Everything is working or not. So let's come here. This is like a JSON. We already tested how JSON work. But if you look at here, you can give a type like a JSON format or a XML format. You can give any type of format. So for example, if you choose XML, if I try to send some data, still it will break. It will fail. I will tell you why. What is the reason behind the screennet? Let's say, let's give something like a test. Okay, let's give a 1110, something same. I try to execute it. You can see it still says an error. It says unsupported format. Why is that? There is a two reason for it why it still fails. One is we have to set up our controller in program.cs. Here you can see controller we configured for JSON only so far. We didn't configure for XML format. If you want XML format as well, dot add XML serializer formatter. Okay, and second thing is if you open your model file product, okay, this product, if you see these are the name, right, category and name. For this XML format, it will consider like a small characters. If it is a small character, it will not allow you to create a record. Instead of just explaining, I will run the application. I will show you the demo directly, so it will be easy for you to understand. Let me come here. I'm going to change the format to XML, try it out. Let's say I'm going to give simply like a test. Let's give something 100. Let me remove the note. Just I'm trying to execute it. Here you can see it gives a error, name field and category field is required. If you see, I give some dummy data, test, but still it fails. The reason why it fails, if you look at our class, it's like a C in a capital and you can see N in a capital. If it's a data type of string, not for others, you can see for others it doesn't complain. It only complain for the type string, and also if it has an attribute of required. Only if it is attribute of required, it will throw an error like this. You can see even though we gave an input, it still throws an error. The reason is because it's in a capital letter C, capital letter N. But if you look at our XML code, it is in a small letter. You can see small category, small name. It starts with the small letters C and N. So that's why it considered like it's not identified. So it's simply rejected. So how to avoid this? So in my product class here, I'm going to add like one attribute. Let's open a square bracket and type XML root. So inside this XML root, you can just type a product, your class name, what it is. You can type it like this. And here we have to give like a XML element. So if you just type here, let me copy this before I type anything. Just copy this and type here like a ID, and similar way just paste it here, your category. If you give like this, it will accept for the XML format also. If you give an input in XML, based on this XML element, it will automatically map the value to your class. Let me paste it here. For a name, let me give a small letter. Let's type here as well. For a price, let me paste it for this as well. Okay, let's type for a note in stock. If you have in stock, like start with the capital letter, again small letter, then capital letter, you just need to put a first letter only in a small. Okay, just keep the second capital letter as it is. Okay, for example, manufactured on, M should be on a small letter, but on the O should be on a capital itself, as it is how you have in your class. Once you set up this, we can start the application and test it. Let me start the application. So Swagger has been open. Just click on the post. I'm going to switch to XML format. I'm going to expect my result also in a XML format. Let's give a try it out. When you are creating, we don't need to send ID. I remove it. Just for example, I'm giving like a test. Let's give price something like 100. I'm going to keep the manufacturer date and the stock as it is. I'm going to change the note as well to test. Let's click on execute. We will check whether the record is creating for us now. You can see now we get the record. Now we get the status code of a 201. 201 means created. Previously we are getting like a 200 okay, but we are getting 201. The reason why we are getting 201 means we go back to our controller, we are now returning created at. Created means 201. So 201 means successfully we created the record. And also here we mentioned like you can go for a get by ID API. Based on the ID you can search for the record we mentioned here, right? So how we can look at that? If you come here in Swagger, there is something called location. In this location, you can see it's specifically pointing to that get by ID API. You can see product/8. If you copy this URL, you can paste it here. You can get the product details. You can see we get the product details. It's working fine. So for that only we are going to return in a created at format, and also we will specifically mention where you can check the record is exist or not. And one thing, if you notice, for now we are giving an input in XML format, and also we are getting a response in a XML format. It's working perfectly fine for us. So as per REST API, it can allow both like a JSON or XML format. You can choose any one. Based on this, you can test your APIs. Let me test Git as well. Here I'm going to change response in a XML format. I want a response in XML format. Let me run. You can see I get my data in a XML format. If you want a JSON, you can switch to a JSON format. Just switch to JSON. If I return it, you can see we will get the data in a JSON format. Similar way, get by ID also will work. If you try it out, if you give some ID as a 1, if I execute, so it's in a JSON format, we get the data in a JSON. If you want a XML, you can simply switch to an XML format, just execute it, you will get the data in a XML format. So we will try update as well, just check whether update is working or not. Let's try 2. We get this record, right? We are going to update based on this. Let me copy this as well, whatever we have. Let's copy the note as well. Let's come down here, patch, try it out. I'm going to do in XML format. Let me change inside here. Okay, so ID as a 2. I'm going to give the ID. For example, I'm going to change stock to true, from false to true. Going to change the mobile to 16. I'm going to change the price from 899 to 999, 999. And we'll keep the manufacturer on as it is. If you want to change the response type as well, you can change. I think for we don't return anything for a put. That's why there is a no response type. So only we will give a consume. What type of consume, XML or JSON? So I'll just give a XML. Let's execute it. We can see we get the 204. That means we successfully updated the record. Let's try it out now here. If I execute here, this data will change because we updated now. You can see iPhone 16 price changed, in stock is a true. If you want to delete it as well, you can delete it. Regarding patch, for patch we will not allow XML, we allow only the just JSON patch. Okay, because patch only work on this format, not in a XML. So that's why we keep the patch as it is. So no need to test patch again, because we already test the patch. We know it works perfectly. If you want to delete the record something, let's delete the record. We created something for testing, right? Let's go and check the ID of it. You can see it's a ID 8. So let me give it ID 8 and execute it. You can see it's also successfully deleted. We get the status code as a 204, no content. If I go and try now, let me switch to XML format itself. Execute it. You can see now we have only 2 records. So now our REST API is properly working. Okay, you can see all the CRUD operations are we performed. Everything is working. It supports both JSON format and as well as XML format. But still we need to do some documentation. If you look at here, whenever you call something, it shows like a undocumented it. You can see undocumented. When you do put, it shows a undocumented. Why? It's the reason it's showing now. We still didn't document our code. We will do that next. If you come back to your product controller, you can see this specific method is going to return only something called created at. That means here we can add an attribute. So here I'm going to give like a produce response type. So open a round bracket. Inside this, I'm going to type something called status codes dot. Here we can give like a 201. That means this API can produce a status code as a 201. 201 means it's created. Okay, so you may have a doubt, what are the different type of status it can produce? Okay, there can be n number of status. Let me show you here. You can see there is a huge number of status code, but you can mention what your API going to give a status. Okay, for this it going to return only 201. 201 means we created something. Okay, we see how status code works first. Okay, initially if you see something on the internet, if you see 404, we know it's error, it's not working, we know. But when we are developing API, we understand 404 means not found. Okay, that means something you search for but it does not exist in the system, then only we return 404. Like this, we have a different kind of status code. If you return the status code between 100 to 199, that is called informational. You are written something informational thing. If you have a status code between 200 to 299, it represents something success. It can be, for example, if it is a 200, we learned it's a okay, successfully it's returning the data. If it is a 201, we learn now it's created something successfully. If we return 204, no content, we learned when we return 204 no content, when we are doing the update, patch or delete, we return like a no content 204. That means we are doing something, that operation is successfully completed. Those status code will be between the range of 200 to 299. And if we are redirecting to a different application or redirecting to a different URL route, it will comes under the status code of 300 to 399. Okay, so you don't need to worry about 300 range because it's very rarely used. And regarding the 400 to 499, it's something client error. Client error means when they are sending the request itself, if there is some error request, we say it's a client error. If you remember, when we are updating, we check for the ID they given and also we check for the ID within the product. If does not match, we send a bad request. That means they send a bad request. So this is kind of a client error. And also when during the get by ID search, if they give a ID of the record which does not exist, we return as a not found. That is also a client error because client trying to search something which does not exist. So it's a error created by the client. Okay, and there is something called a 409 conflict. This is like advanced stuff, we can see about this later on, you no need to worry. And there is other status codes like a 500 to 599. So what this will happen, if you have a status code under the 500, means there is something like a internal server error. Internal server error means your code itself has some issues. Okay, your code has been broken when it's running. If your code is broken, it will goes under 500. Okay, that means there is no issue from a client, it's an issue from your end, how you developed the code, how you designed your project. Okay, we will learn about this like in a later on course when we are doing the project 2, because we are now working on the project 1. It's like a basic concepts. When we are working on the project 2, we will handle about this like how to handle error it's happening within your system. Okay, at this time we will learn this basic stuff. When we are doing that, we will learn about this advanced stuff, how this status code works. Okay, so now get back to the code itself. So for create HttpPost, it's going to return only status code of 201 created. Okay, let me minimize it, expand it. If you look at the get, it's going to return always only okay. Okay means 200. So here produce response type status codes dot 200. Okay, just copy this and similarly paste it for get by ID, because get by ID also return okay, and as well it return not found. So just duplicate it here, type not found. You can see status of 404 not found. What it represent, this API can produce two type of response. Either it can be a success or it failed with a not found status code. Okay, we are representing like a two things. This API can produce two type of response. Let's check on the update. Let me copy this and paste it here. So first here we are going to return like a bad request, correct? Let's say bad request, or if everything success, we are going to return as a no content. So type no content. You can see it's a no content 204. Let's copy this as well Similar will come for the patch. Let me paste it here. You can see here also we send a bad request and no content, and also here we have not found. So that means just duplicate it, type not found. You can see 404 not found. Regarding the delete we have not found and no content. Let me paste it here, just change to not found. Okay, this is like a basic setup. If you do this whenever you run a Swagger, it will give you the proper documentation meaning. So my application is started now. Let's going to test it. Let's say I'm going to give something like a test itself. Test, let's say 100 and test. Just execute it. So we get the data. Here you can see it doesn't show undocumented now. It's properly documented. So the undocumented comment has been, by default, it will be removed. If you try anything like a get, you can see you get the status of 200, you get the data. And if you scroll down below, you can see it says 200 okay. Let me come here, get by ID. Let me search by ID like a 1. You can see we get the 200. It doesn't show like undocumented. It's properly getting the data. If you scroll down below, 200 okay. If you scroll down further below, you can see it shows 404 as well. Why it shows? These are the status code this API can produce. Okay, possible. If you reset it now, just cancel. You can see these are the possible status code this API can produce. It can produce either 200 okay or it can produce either 404. If it is a 200, what type of data it will return. If it is a 404, it will show what type of data this will return. Based on this, front-end developers will handle in their code. Like for example, front-end is like a React, Angular or Vue.js. Based on this response type, they will handle it in a user interface like a UI code. Okay, you don't need to worry about user interface. You just need to focus on an API endpoint. Your goal is like you need to give a proper response to the client. Okay, so properly you have to document it, what type of data this specific API can produce. Okay, if you look at this put, you can see it can produce a 204 or it can produce a 400 bad request as well. And also if you click on a patch, you can see it can produce a no content, or it can produce a bad request, or it can produce a not found as well. If there is a no record found, we are trying to update, it will simply return as a 404 not found. So if you document it properly, for front-end developers, it can be easy for them to identify which API they have to use, what type of response they will get. Based on the status code, they will handle it in a user interface. Okay, we now properly documented. And also if you look at here, it shows a schema. And the schema, you can see if you click on a product, it will show we are returning everything based on the product, correct? So it will show what are the properties are required field, what are the properties are like an optional field, categories are required field, name is a required field, price is a required field, manufacturer is a required field. So for this, by default, it shows like a star. Okay, if you expand it, it will show what is data type. So front-end developers, it's easy for them because they also configure the similar setup in a front end to consume this API. So when you use a Swagger, you will get this kind of a proper documentation. You can see it gives each property is a what data type we are using in it. So don't worry about this problem details. The problem details like when API fail, like a not like a fail, when we return like a not found or bad request, it will give this kind of a response. This is like a problem details. And regarding this operation type, it's for patch. If you are doing the patch, you have to give like a path. And what is the OP? OP means operation. We give it like a slash replace, right? Similar way from value. This is like a operation, and what is like a operation type. So you no need to worry about this. So only thing focus is like be properly documented the API. Our API is now supported for both JSON and XML format, and we completely implemented the CRUD operation. Okay, we done everything. This is like a basic steps so far now. But if you look at it, we are doing something very wrong here. Okay, if you look at our code, we do every database operation within our controller itself. See, We do everything database related within a controller, but we should not do like this. Okay, you should not do anything related to database operation in a controller. For this, we are going to implement something called a repository pattern. Okay, we will move this logics to a different file and we will only call those functions to perform that operation. Okay, we will see about the repository pattern next. So I'm going to create a new folder in my project. Just right click the project, add new folder. The folder name is going to be repository. Okay, inside this repository, I'm going to create a one more file. Just right click, add new item, click on the interface. The interface name is going to be product repository. Okay, so in this repository, we are going to define a few methods. We will implement that in a class. So we need a class as well. So just right click the repository folder, add new class and give a class name as a product repository, and we will inherit from the interface. Okay. So what are the things we are going to implement? What are the methods we are going to define here? Just look at our controller. Okay. In this controller, if you see, we are basically doing the create, get, and update and delete. These are the basic database operations we are doing. Okay, this is a CRUD operation. So we are going to define the methods within this interface level itself. First, we will do for the get. So task list of products. Basically, we are trying to fetch all the products, correct? Not a single product. So give the list of product and give a method name as a get async. Just duplicate the same, and next time we are not going to return a list, we are going to return a product, but this time based on a ID. If you give a ID, based on the ID, we are going to find the product and return it. Next, we are going to create, right? So task, whenever we create the product, we will return the created product with ID. So it's also going to return a product. It's given name as a create async, and the input going to be the product. Okay, let's give a space between each lines. Let's duplicate it twice because I need it for update and delete as well. Just going to rename it as the update. During the update, we will not return anything. It's going to be a basically simple task. And during the delete also, we will not return anything. So it's going to be a basic task. I just rename it as a delete. So we define the methods, but we need to implement it. So where we are going to implement it? In the class. If you see it shows a error, we still didn't implement the members. Just click on the cursor here and control dot. It will show an option for an implement interface. If you click on it, it will implement this interface. Still the logic has not been implemented yet. It's just functions. Okay, I will just change the order because I want to follow the same order what I have. I will change the order here as well. Just cut this git and put it at the top. And as well, just cut this update and place it above delete. Okay, this is the same order we are going to follow now. So initially in get, what we do, we return all products, correct? If you want to access the database, we need something called application DB context, correct? So I'm going to create a constructor here and inject the application DB context. And DB context, control dot, create a field. So I'm going to underscore, just change the name to underscore DB context equal to DB context. Then here directly we can return await underscore DB context dot product dot to list async. Okay, so basically what we are doing now, instead of doing these things in a controller, if you see, look at our get here, we are doing now, instead of doing in a controller level, we are going to do in a repository level. We will fetch the data here directly and we will just return it. Okay, we are just moving the features from controller to repository level. Next, we have to implement for a get by ID. So return await underscore DB context dot product dot first our default async x of x dot id equal to id. If id matches, it will going to return a product, single product. Based on the id, we are going to fetch the product and return it. Then for create, it is also very easy to implement. Just put a await underscore db context dot product dot add async. Just pass your product and await underscore db context dot save changes. Once we add it in a database, we have to save it. Then we will return the product itself. Okay, this is a basic implementation only. Similarly for update, here underscore db context dot product dot update. Just pass the product, then await underscore db context dot save changes async. You may have a doubt, I didn't implement for a patch. Okay, if you see, I only have an update but not for a patch. Patch is something which is related to API level handling, not like a database level handling. Okay, we will implement a patch but with the help of this update itself. Okay, so that's why I have only one method as an update instead of I have a duplicate things. For a delete as well, underscore db context dot product dot remove. I'm going to pass the product. Okay, then save it. Once I remove it, we have to save it. db context dot save changes async. And we are going to need a one more method. For example, we have like a get by id, create, update, delete, and we are going to have one more method that's going to be a task. It's going to be written a boolean. Boolean means it's going to return a true or false. Its method name going to be is exist. For this, we have to give an input as a ID. Based on the ID, we are going to check whether the record is exist or not. So I will come here. You can see it shows a error. Do control dot implement the interface. Just scroll down. You can see it's been come here. We have to implement it. Just do return await underscore db context dot product dot. There is a something called any async. So inside this, you can pass x of x dot id equal to id. So basically what it will do, if record exists on the same id, it will return a true. If there is a no record in that id, it will return as a false. Where we are going to use this, for example, if you are trying to update, if you are trying to patch, we can use this before fetching the entire data to check whether it exists or not. We can simply call by a boolean value. If it is a true, we can proceed further. If it is a false, we can simply return as a not found. Okay, we will see that how we are going to use it under a controller. Once we created this file, we have to register in our program.cs that we have the repository. So where we can do it now, just come here, type builder dot service dot add scoped. Okay, there are three different things. There is a add scoped, and there is something called add singleton, and there is something called add transit. Okay, but we are going to use scoped. I will explain about what are this. Okay, this is kind of a dependency injection concept. I will explain this after we implemented this repository pattern later on. Okay, for now you just need to understand I'm going to use here add scoped. So I product repository comma product repository. Okay, this is like a basic registration. If you register this only, you can able to use this interface wherever you want. So now what I'm going to do, just go back to your product controller. Now we don't need this application DB context itself. Okay, we will remove it. Instead of this, I'm going to have a interface private read only I product repository. So give a name as a product repository. Let me copy this as well. Just put underscore. Well, similarly, we will inject in a constructor. Just change this here. So underscore product repository is equal to product repository. That's it. If you scroll down here, you can see it shows a error because we don't need to wait for like this. Let's change from the create itself. You can see we don't need to do this anything here. Just simply do await underscore product repository dot create async. Just pass the product. That's it. Here also you just need to change like this. Just remove this underscore product repository dot get async. Just scroll down here. Here also underscore product repository dot get async, but here we are going to pass the id. If you pass the id, it's going to call for this method, this implementation. If you pass the id, it will call for this. If you didn't pass id, it will call for the list of products. Okay, so just we need to pass the id here. Okay, next one is the update part. So here also we don't need to do this kind of things. Just remove this. Await underscore product repository dot update async, and we are going to pass the product. Okay, and here we are going to have a one more validation. Before we update, we just need to check, like a cross check, whether the product exists in our database, right? So how we can do it now? Just put a if condition await underscore product repository dot is exist, just pass the id. Okay, then return not found, because if there is a no id, it will return a false, correct? If return false, I'm going to put a not here, so false became a true, then this condition became true, it will simply return a not found. Okay, basically what I'm doing, if there is a no record in that id, we will not go further for update process itself, we will just return here itself. Okay, because as I said, if there is a no id in a update, it will create, but we don't want create, we want to do only the update operation. So by this way we can restrict it accidentally creating the unwanted records. Okay, it's kind of a validation you can have. Before update, you can check for whether the record exists. If not, you can simply return as a not found. So, okay, let's scroll down here. Here also we no need to do this underscore product repository dot get. Inside this we can pass a id simply. Then we no need to do this kind of save changes anything here. We just need to pass it to update itself. Await underscore product repository dot update async. Just pass the product. Nothing much. Then finally the delete one. We change here as well. Underscore product repository dot get. Just pass the id. So we will get the product. If product is null, we will just simply return not found. Otherwise, we will do the delete. Await underscore product repository dot delete async. Just pass the product itself. Okay, now if you look at this code is very clean. We didn't have any code related to database operation. We moved everything towards the repository level. Okay, if you want to handle anything database related queries or a database related operation, you have to handle everything within the repository level, not in the controller level. So controller purpose is like only to serve your request and response. Okay, so it could be like a lightweighted only. So let's start this application. We'll test whether all the features are working or not. So my Swagger has been started. Let me try it out. Let's give like a test. If you want any value, you can give. I'm just testing now, so I'm going to give like a test. So let's remove nodes. Let's execute it. You can see 201 successfully the record has been created for us. Let's try the get all. You can see all the records has comes. Now we can have like a 10th record we had recently now. Then get by id. So put 10 here. Execute it. So we get specifically the record based on the record id. Then update. Let's update that record 10 itself. Let me copy it. We will replace here. So instead of test, let's add something like toys itself. We can add toys. We can add like a Lego set. It's like a $150 something. We can have like a stock and true. Execute. So you can see it's a 204 updated successfully. Let me check again. You can see it's updated. Toys name as a Lego. So the price also updated. So update also properly working for us. Then finally test the patch and delete. So put a id as a 10. It's a remove the operation. What we are going to update, let's update in stock. It's a true now. We are going to change this as a false now. So path slash in stock operation is going to be replace. Just remove the from. Only we are going to give like a false. I think it's true, right? Just confirm it. Yeah, it's a true. I'm going to change this as a false now. Just execute it. It's a 204 successfully run. Let's check now. See, it changed to false. Patch also working for us. Then finally, we will do the delete as well. So delete record number 10. Execute it. 204. So successfully deleted. If we check, it will show not found. There is a no record in that ID. If you hit the all products also, you can see only we have a 3 products. The 10th record has been deleted. Even we can delete the 9th as well. It's also just a test record. Let me delete 9. Execute. Let me check once again. Yeah, perfect. Now we have only the 2 records, ID1 and ID2. So all our features are working now. Let's close this. Let's look at the project again now. Let's close all this as well. So far what we created is like a basic project. Okay, basic REST API CRUD operation. In the model, we are going to keep the classes which are going to be created as a table. Correct. Under repository, we are going to handle the database related operations. If you want to handle database related operation, you want to connect with the entity framework code. For that, we have a application DB context. And also we have to set up that in a program.cs. If you want to connect to your database, you need a credentials. Those credentials will be stored under the app.setting.json file. Okay, these are the things we covered so far now. So why I'm saying this is as a basic, just imagine, for example, I'm having just only one model, one table in my database. In a real world applications, if you are in a production level, you may have like a 50 tables, 100 tables, even you can have more than hundreds of tables. That means you will have a 100 class file inside the model folder. Okay, and also just look at the repository. For product, I have a product repository. In future, for example, I have a one more model called brand. Okay, for brand, again I have to create a brand repository. Okay, it's like a repeated code repetition we will do multiple time if we are doing this way. But when we are going with the architecture implementation, like a layered architecture with the generic concepts we will implement, in that way you will not write this much of code again and again as your project grows. Okay, we will just make it like a reusable code concept. Okay, we will implement like a reusability. Based on the reusability, you can easily able to enhance your application. Basically I'm saying like even if you have like 100 classes or a 50 classes of model, you can have like a single repository. Okay, with a single repository you can able to handle those 50 or 100 models, like 100 tables. You can do the database operations. So we will cover those kind of advanced concepts how to implement later on in our project too. Before that, I mentioned one thing called dependency injection. Here we done like a add scoped. Okay, next we will cover about what is dependency injection. Once you learn about that, then we can start the second project.
So first we will see about singleton. What will happen if you register your service in a singleton? Let's see the definition. The singleton service in ASP.NET Core is designed to ensure that only one instance of service will be created and shared throughout the entire lifespan of your application. Okay. So in simple terms, you can say if you register any one of your services in singleton, once you start that application, an instance will be created. That same instance will be maintained up to entire lifespan of your application. If you still feel complicated, let's say take a small example. You have one restaurant. If you want a restaurant, what you have to do? You have to first build the restaurant. So similarly, first we build the application. Once the restaurant is built, you can go and buy food anytime you want. The restaurant is the same. It's the same restaurant. You will go and buy food anytime you want. So similar way, singleton. Once service is started, new instance will be created. The same instance will be used until the entire lifespan of your application. So in similar words, until this restaurant is destroyed, you can go and buy a food anytime you want. Right? It's the same restaurant is going to serve a food for you. We will see a code example for the singleton also later on. First, we will see the theory part of it. So now we covered the singleton. So next thing we are going to see about scoped. So let's see the definition of it. In scope the lifetime, a new instance of a service will be created for each incoming request. Ensure that each request serves its own unique instance. So in simple terms, you can say if the instance is created for the service, the same instance will be used for that same request again and again. For that also, you can take a example with the restaurant itself. You already reserved a table. So if you go for a restaurant, you already reserved a table. Whatever the food you are going to order, it will be always come to your table only until you finish up your lunch or breakfast or dinner. So the food will be served to your same table, your booked table, correct? So similar way the scoped will work. If the request comes in, okay, this instance will created, that same instance will be used until the entire request process is complete. In simple terms, you can say there may be a multiple tables in hotel, right? Each table will have its own instance. We will see code for this also example later on. So we will see next what is transient. Let's see the definition of transient. In case of transient lifetime, a new instance of service will be created every time if it is requested, regardless whether it is in the same request or across the different requests. It's like for each time, new instance for the service will be created in transient. Okay. In simple terms, for example, you take a burger. You went for a restaurant, you already reserved a table, you are ordering burger. If you order a burger, same burger will not serve to many people, correct? Each time new burger will create, they will prepare a new burger, then they will serve it. You are in the same table, okay, it's like a scope, but you wanted 10 burgers, okay, so there may be a 10 instance, 10 burgers will be created. It's not the same, each time it's a different. So it's like if even if it is the same request, new instance will be created in a transient. So I hope you guys will understand this theory part. We will get into the code. So if you are new to my channel, just please subscribe it. I think it's enough for theory part. Let's get into the code first. If you see here, I have already created one web API project. We will see what I have already implemented. So I created a simple API project. You can see we have a controller. I created one service folder. Inside the service folder, I have created a 3 services and a 3 interface for the services. So let's see one by one. So if I open the scoped interface is nothing, just a simple declaration to produce a GUID. It's a simple method. You can see what I done now. I implemented that in my class. Scoped service. We do the inheritance now. We inherited it. So inside the scoped service, you can see I have created a one property. It's a GUID. It's an ID. Then in a constructor, we know when instance is created, constructor will call first, right? So that's why I provided ID equal to new GUID. It's a separate, we are generating the GUID ID simply in terms, okay? So we create a new GUID ID and we will assign it to that ID property. Then what we are doing now, we created a separate function for it. What this function will do now, whatever the GUID ID set to this ID, we will returning it. That's it. So this kind of a similar code, it's the same code I written for a 3 services. If I take the singleton, in singleton also you can see there is a property ID. In a constructor, I'm creating the new GUID ID and just assigning that, just returning that value as the ID. This function will return the ID. So if I go to the transient, it also the same thing. One property is ID, one constructor to set a GUID ID, and there is a function to return our ID. So we have a 3 services. Okay. Once we created 3 services, what we will do? We will register in our program.cs. You can see I registered here as a builder.service.add singleton. Singleton. So I registered my singleton services interface and class. And second thing is scoped. Scoped also I registered. Then finally at transient also I registered. Let's now go back to our controller. I created some dummy controller as a data controller. You can see here I created I injected the services twice. Each service has a twice. So singleton has a twice, scoped has twice, and transient has a twice. The reason why I'm registering twice now to show the difference how the GUID IDs are generating, okay, how the instance are creating. I registered it in our constructor. We do the dependency injection. It's the same thing. So after that, I created only one API. So the API name is like a service lifetime. Okay. Inside the service lifetime, I have created a one object. Okay. So it's just like a view model. If you want to see, I will show that. View model have something called results. What it will do now, it will return our grids. I just want to return this result. So this result class will have all the properties like a singleton S1, singleton 2, scope to 1, scope to 2, transient 1, transient 2. The reason why I have twice now, because in controller also I'm registering it twice. I just want to display the data twice. Okay, how it's creating. So here I simply done just a string concatenation. I just added the singleton name just to identify the difference in output. In this services now, for example, singleton service 1, I registered it. I called the function. It's a quit producer. Okay, quit producer, the function we created now. For example, let's go for singleton, the quit producer. I'm just calling that function in my controller and just converting to a string, because this type is string, property type is string. So I'm just converting to string. So similar way, I'm assigned the value to singleton, scoped, and transient. So you can see each time I called different services. Singleton service 1, singleton service 2, scoped service 1, scoped service 2, then transient service 1, then transient service 2. Let's run this application and we will see how our output will display, how the instances are created, how the grids are produced. Okay. So our application is up and running. So we have one API. I'm going to hit that, the service lifetime. So let's go. It's executed. You can see we get the result as a singleton 1. You can see the GUID ID is same. Even though if you are creating a 2-time registration, I mean 2-time you are creating in dependency injection of our data controller, right? But the instance is same GUID ID is passed. It's like a restaurant. Okay? The restaurant is built, like our application is built, so it will serve the same instance until the application lifecycle ends. If you see the scope, it's the same GUID ID here also. You can ask how it is, because for each request, new instance will create. For example, this time it's the same, right? Same scope. We will come to the scope again later on. Okay. So we will see the transient, then we'll get back to the scope. So if you see transient, see new instance will created for each time. Okay. Each time new instance is created. That's why we have a 2 different GUID IDs. Okay. So now get back to the scope. What I'm going to do now, just copy this URL and paste it in another tab. So this time it will goes as another request. Correct. So if you see this time, the singleton instance the GUID created, it will be same in both. You can see it's the same, because singleton will serve up to your entire life cycle of your application, lifespan of your application. Okay. If you see scoped, it's a new ID is created. Okay. The reason why new ID is created for scoped, for each request, new instance will be created. Okay. But in transient, each and every time new instance will be created.
So far you have learned all the fundamentals about the REST API. If you want to learn more advanced concept in the REST API, you can able to enroll this course in my platform Bytelane. This complete course will be around 9 hours. Even you can able to see the what are the topics we are going to cover under each module. And if there is any update comes in the future as well, I will update the course in my platform as well. You no need to purchase again, because once you purchase, you will get a lifetime access. So you can able to learn whenever you want. The course link will be also available in the video description itself.